Going, everybody. So let's finish up Timothy part 1. We'll finish it tomorrow. There's just a few verses. And the Lord shouted, because I do a column at a time. So these columns are very short because we're at the very end. So they literally divided into 2 columns, 3 verses and 2 verses. But I like to stay on track with the my columns match. Like I'm in the 3rd column of both studies or the 4th column in both studies. So it helps me stay on track. And the Lord shall deliver me from every evil work, and I will preserve me unto his heavenly kingdom. Excuse me, and will preserve me unto his heavenly kingdom, to whom be glory forever and ever. Salute Prisca and Aquila and the household of Onesiphorus. Aratus abode at Corinth, but Trophimus have I left at Miletum sick. And we'll finish the last 2 verses tomorrow on that. And let's get on with Daniel. And they shall understand among the people, shall instruct many, yet they shall fall by the sword. Talking about the sheep, and by flame, and by captivity, and by spoil many days. Now when they fall, they shall be whole pin with a little help, but may shall cleave to them with flatteries. And some of them of understanding are sheep. Okay. Shall fall to try them and to purge and to make them white, even to the time of the end, because it is yet the time appointed. So we know that the great tribulation is for the church. It's to make their robes white and to purge them from their sins, right up until what? Even to the time of the end, when the Lord puts a stop to it. And when the Lord puts a stop to it, it is at, there's different places, but the most dramatic place that I have found that just sort of puts it all into perspective. And I beheld when he had opened the 6th seal, and lo, there was a great earthquake, and the sun became black as sackcloth of hair, and the moon became as blood, and the stars of heaven fell unto the earth, even as a fig tree casteth her untimely figs when she is shaken of a mighty wind. And then heaven departed as a scroll when it rolled together, and every mountain and island were moved out of their places, and the kings of the earth, and the great men, and the rich man, and the chief captains, and the mighty man, and every bondman, and every free man hid themselves in the dens of the rocks of the mountains, and said to the mountains and the rocks, fall on us, hide us from the face of him that sitteth on the throne, and from the wrath of the Lamb. For the great day of his wrath is come. That's not Jesus coming in the clouds. That's not Jesus reclaiming his church or snatching up his church after the great tribulation. This is just God putting a stop to everything that begins his wrath. For the great day of his wrath is come, and who shall be able to stand? Of course. So when you see even to the time of the end, because it is yet for the time appointed, it's coming at a very specific appointed time. God's already ordained, declared the end from the beginning. And the king shall do according to his will, this is the Antichrist, and shall exalt himself and magnify himself above every God, and shall speak marvelous things against the God of gods, and shall prosper till the indignation be accomplished, which is the abomination of desolation. For that is determined shall be done. Neither shall he regard the God of his fathers, nor the desire of women, nor regard of any God, for he shall magnify himself above all. But in his state shall he honor the God of forces, and a God whom his fathers knew not shall he honor with gold and silver, and with precious stones and pleasant things. Thus shall he do in the most strongholds with a strong God, whom he shall acknowledge and increase with glory, and he shall cause them to rule over many, and shall divide the land for gain. So the God of forces is Chibel, which is where you get the word, what is it? It's Chibel. Hang on, it'll pop in my head in a second. Bell or Keybell or Keeble. It's cybernetics, where we get our word cybernetics from, which is mixing animals and machines. Cybernetics, mixing animals with machines. Cybernetics, or control of communication in animal and machine. So, and of course, in Donnie Darko, it's the God machine that saved the rabbits. Because why? It's the year of the rabbit during the abomination of desolation, when all this takes place. In Donnie Darko, the God machine saved the rabbits was from a book called Wondership Down. The God machine saved the rabbits, Watership Down. It's Watership Down, by the way. Who is the rabbit god in Watership Down? It's interesting. They don't have the God machine in. There it is. Watership Down, the movie, The God Machine, script to the screen. Because that's the abomination that maketh desolate, the image that speaks, and all of that will be the AI or the fallen angels in the technology. That's what AI is. So that's the god of forces. And the god of fortresses. It's also known as the god of fortresses. So used to, the picture would pop right up. I guess the AI has scrambled it, because we've taught on this many times. The god of forces. A little bit better. It's actually a female goddess with a fort on top of her head. The god of fortresses. They really have scrambled this up for us, haven't they? Used to, you'd see all kind of pictures with her, with it on top of her head, and they've simply removed it. So I had to search it this way, Keebly. That's what you used to get, the god of fortresses. It's actually a goddess. And that's what, you know, when you would just search the god of fortresses or the god of forces, this would come up. But now you have to go by Chibel. So we'll go by Chibel, go to Wikipedia. See the crown on top of her head. And what I'll do is I'll take that. We'll go to Wikipedia. We'll key in that word. Chibel, goddess of fortresses. Chibel, as well as walls and fortresses. It's very interesting. It's Anyway, you see the fortresses or the fort, the fort literally on top of the head, right? And Cybele. Put this in pictures. And we'll go back and retrieve it. So when you see the god of fortresses, you see the fortress or the fort right on top of her head, because it's really mystery Babylon the Great, the female, but there are no female fallen angels. They're male. So in the Bible, what you might come up, they switch God and goddesses backwards and forwards in their world or in the word of God, because they're mixing both. So you just have to use the proper context at the time when the Bible describes mystery Babylon the Great. Now, when it says God of fortresses or forces, if we were to go to Blue Letter, look up that Bible verse, 1138. So you see the God. Let's see what gender you can get out of that. It's masculine noun. God, false God. So it does say masculine. Because it's the fallen angel Satan. So it's all about protection, refuge, stronghold, because they think they're going to be protected from God, or excuse me, God's wrath. But you can tell the goddess Cybele right there. It says the goddess Cybele. And in the Bible, it's referred to as a she, because it's that feminine spirit. The church is feminine, or the bride. So this is the false bride or the false church. And Satan, in order to do such, has transformed himself into the goddess or Mother Nature or Gaia, and so on and so forth. It's quite fascinating, actually. So when he magnifies himself against the God of gods, of course, that means that's kind of Elohim all wrapped into one, because it's God speaking to his angels. Let us make man in our image. So he is the God of the angels. There are no other gods per se, but the world calls fallen angels gods. And even in the book of Daniel, they refer, like, not, only the gods can do such, talking about what the king needed the Chaldeans and astrologers to perform for him. He said only the gods can do it. And of course, what they were saying was only the fallen angels, only demonic entities that we channel can do such. No one can reveal it to the king except the gods, and they do not live among men. That's Daniel 2. So we're talking about the fallen angels, of course. So anyway, I think we covered everything today. I'm glad the other study was short, so we could kind of delve into this one a little bit. All right, love you very much. Ask questions anytime. That's what I'm here for.